Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
Our community needs Henry Cuellar.
He kept our businesses open during the pandemic and reduced taxes.
We received millions of dollars to protect our families and borders.
He wrote the program that guaranteed health care for millions of Texas children.
Because of him, I have the opportunity to study at Laredo College.
Henry helps us with prescriptions and Social Security benefits. If we lose him in Congress, we lose everything.
I'm Henry Cuellar, and I want to continue fighting for you and your family, and I approve this message.
Back at you with Gloves Off, and today I have a great guest from Dallas, a place where I used to be at. It's Bunni Pounds, and she has Christians Engaged, and we're going to touch base on what the organization is, what she's doing, especially what brought her here to the heat of Laredo. But other than that, we're glad she is with us. How are we doing? You doing good?
Man, it's good to be with you, Paul.
It's great. It's great to see somebody from Dallas, especially the energy that they have. You know that?
Yeah. No, I love this rural community better, man. You can get everywhere in 6 minutes down here.
You can too in Dallas. It's 6 minutes to what? That's a difference.
Yeah.
I'll be there in 6 minutes. Yeah, 6 minutes after 4:36.
Exactly. Maybe one exit
5:06. But everything's changed since I was on. I lived there for a long time, and there was farmland before. Now you go over there and everything's connected.
Yep. Yeah.
You don't know where you're at. Before you knew whether you were in Plano and Richardson and Addison and so on and so forth. But now it's all together.
Well, you all just be thankful for your housing prices down here. It's a lot better than where we are.
Well, no, not really. Our taxes are pretty expensive. We're up there, and they're raising it more, and unfortunately. But other than that, explain to me what Christians Engaged is.
Yeah. Well, we've been a statewide nonprofit ministry. We believe that the Church of Jesus Christ is the answer for America. And we are compelling and awakening the body of Christ across denominational lines. We don't care if you're Protestant, Catholic, Church of Christ, Baptist, Assembly of God. Everybody needs to start praying for our elected officials, our city, state, and nation. We need to be seeking God for our country. We're at a real crisis point right now. We need to be voting in every election. We need to be, as people with values and principles, and I like to say, take Jesus to the ballot box. Take our biblical values to the ballot box and vote for not just in presidential years, but city elections, primaries. All of these elections are important. And then our third tenet is just engaging with the culture, engaging in our community. We can't continue to sit within, as Christians, sitting within the four walls of the church, but it's time for us to engage with the culture in our communities and see God move.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better, but you did say that.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to do. Number one, people need to go out there and vote. Right now we have a very important election throughout Texas. There's a lot of runoffs going on.
Yep.
And people need to go out there because the vote is very low. And Tuesday's the last day.
Yes.
They had a full week of early vote and people didn't take advantage of it. So now you're going to have to go to your precinct.
Yep.
Folks, you have to get out there and vote because then you can't complain if you didn't.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what happens.
And even if you didn't vote in the primary, you can still vote in the runoff. A lot of people don't understand that, but as long as you don't shift parties, we don't have a card-carrying party system here in Texas, so, you either voted in the Republican or the Democratic primary, and you have to carry that on to the runoff. But if you haven't voted yet, you can just walk in and vote in one of those party runoffs, and there's some big elections happening right now.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit why you got involved. Because not many people get involved with politics. Mm-hmm. Usually you're thrown into it, something occurred, then you say, you know what, I have to step up now.
Yeah.
But what happened to you for you to get so much involved and throw that much energy?
Well, I was just a mom. My husband and I had a couple businesses. We had a restaurant in Dallas called Roly Poly Sandwiches, and we had a pest control company, and I was just doing life. We were very active in our local church. I led worship, taught the Bible. Started listening to a woman named Laura Ingraham on talk radio one day, and just really caught the spirit of passion for America from her. And they got really involved in the pro-life movement, defending the unborn, and realizing that, you know, we have a problem when we're not esteeming human life, you know, whether it's, you know, 6 weeks in the womb or 9 months in the womb. Got really involved with that issue, and then went to my first political party convention in 2004, testified in front of the party platform committee on a school choice and homeschooling issue, and then went back and did my degree in political science at Dallas Baptist University. Ended up working for a member of Congress for over a decade, and then started my own fundraising and consulting firm and ran for Congress. I mean, my career is just from one thing to another, just being faithful to whatever God's put in my hand, and then you know, going on to the next thing. But I'm very passionate about people, number one, loving God above everything else. Number two, loving their country and protecting liberty and freedom in this country so that we can be a light to the rest of the nations. That's what America's called to be.
Absolutely. You know, the United States is the greatest country in the world. We all know that. That's why we have the problem that we have with people trying to come into the United States.
Yeah.
And we can't go around that. It is the greatest country.
Yeah.
But we are in a very difficult situation because we have a lot of politicians that run, they promise, then all of a sudden they flip their promises when they're in the middle of, or they're already elected.
Yep.
And it's not only harmful, it's very dangerous, and the way they're acting. You know, they're acting like if, how can I say, like if they're very mafia, mob-like mentality that they have. You know, it's kind of like if you did not support them and they won, they're going to come after your business, which, you know, it happens here in Laredo. It continues to happen to it. If you're in the school board, they'll go after your children.
Wow.
It's a different type of world, and when you lived in Dallas, you didn't see that as per se, even though it probably does happen. But you see it here right up in the open. So it's very difficult to kind of, a lot of people are tired. That's why, you know, they probably don't vote because they see the corruption. They say, what for? It's always the same thing.
Right.
No, it's not the same thing. We have to actually vet our candidates, see what they want, see if they have good morals, you know, and put them in there.
Well, and to pay attention to the people like you that are paying attention, Paul. I mean, people, you know, have these trusted resources, and these people that are paying attention and are concerned about liberty and freedom. You know, if you're not gonna, every citizen should be able to print off their ballot, you know, go to your county elections department website. I mean, we're in a digital age right now. Print off your ballot, see what's on the ballot, and spend 5 minutes on each race researching the candidates. If you do nothing else but look up their websites to see what they say out of their own mouth, you're already 98% above everybody else that doesn't even do that. You know, all those people that stand at the polls and they have the sign of the candidates, why do they even do that? Because shockingly, people go into the polls not knowing who to vote for. Like, that makes me crazy, right? So, you know, research your ballot, look at their social media feeds, look what they're saying with their own mouth. Who is endorsing them? Who are people like you in the community that are supporting them or not supporting them? And make your decisions. But if people did that, man, our government would be so much better. And I think we all learned during COVID, a lot of people didn't know who in the heck their mayor was or their county judges were before COVID. And all of a sudden they woke up and they're like, oh man, these people have a lot of power. I'm like, yeah, where have y'all been? And so realizing that government, whether we want to participate or not, is going to have huge power over us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, you said it, COVID. COVID woke up a lot of people.
Exactly.
People woke up a lot of people that understood what was going on there, but after a while they became very complacent with everything. They worked so much, or they were working, they were trying to feed their families, and they kind of got shut into that little world that they live in. And I understand that. We've all been there. We've all done that. But what happens is that once they had the power, and both sides, you can't say, oh, the Democrats did it or the Republicans. No, they both did it. There was not one or the other. They both did it. You know, people saying, oh, the Republicans didn't do it. Well, we have a governor that shut down Texas.
Right.
you know, and he went after
we were tracking bills all through the last legislative session on whether the executive branch can have authority to shut down churches I mean, that should have never happened. And thankfully, we had a lot of pastors around Texas that within a couple weeks said, sorry, we're opening back up. I mean, this is ridiculous. But yeah, we discovered a whole bunch about how frail our freedoms are and our liberties are during that season.
Absolutely. And many mayors, many county judges, because those are the ones who actually have the power. The governor, they all broke the Constitution. Every single one of them went against the United States Constitution.
Yep.
Every single one of them should be held
accountable.
Held accountable. Every single one of them, if they're men enough, should resign. Period. You know what? I went against the United States Constitution. It's an error. We were scared, what have you. You know, I'm stepping down. But no, they haven't done that. But instead, many of them, some of them realized what was going on and tried to fix it.
Right.
Tried to fix it. That occurred. And some other ones continued with it.
Well, we have to give a lot of these government officials, you know, I was so burdened when COVID was happening about the little tiny mayors of the rural communities that they're like, oh yeah, I'll be the mayor of that town. And all of a sudden they're having to make decisions that they didn't have the information. You had the federal government and coronavirus task force and, you know, wild wacko doctors telling us all this stuff. And, you know, they didn't know who to believe. So in one sense, I have a little bit of compassion for the people in power in that horrible season. At the same time, they way overextended their power, right? So the point of what we need to learn from that is let's make sure that this never happens again.
Absolutely.
Let's make sure that our businesses and our lives and our economy are not affected in the way that we just saw this happen again.
Absolutely. So changing the subject from COVID, but COVID brought a lot of things up to light, like technology, a lot of Zoom meetings. So now you can talk to people across the world that we couldn't before. Now we're teaching more online classes. There's schools right now here that are still online. Kids have yet to go back to school. So if that happens, why can't we do that? Well, a lot of people homeschool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
a lot of people homeschool. So why can't we have public schools if you want to leave your child at home and he wants to do that? Why can't we have it now? Now the technology's there.
Well, you're right. The technology's there, and we've seen a huge amount of people pulling their kids out of public school now that they know that they can do it in a technology-friendly way, right? They were afraid of certain values they were being taught in the public school system. I like to call them government school systems. And they're like, oh, I can teach my kids at home with this new technology. That's fine. If that's your motivation, I get it. But we need to remember that we need to have community. And we need people. And the amount of people that have left churches that are now just doing church online, there was a recent study that just came out last week, the State of the Bible, the American Bible Society said that 26 million Americans have stopped reading their Bible since COVID hit in 2020. Why is that happening? Because people are abandoning fellowship and community, and we need people. We underestimate the power of being just with people. And loneliness, suicide, depression, anxiety, fear, all this is happening. Why? Because we're isolating. And I just want to encourage everybody, do not isolate. Do not isolate. We need each other more in this time than ever before. And we can't live on social media. And as much as we love podcasts and YouTube and all that fun stuff, that cannot be your complete source of life, or you're not going to be completely well.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah.
We need fellowship. You saw it here at the school. You saw the fear. Every time a new variant came out, the fear of spreading, and everybody disappeared. And some of them would come back, and little by little, now you see it growing a lot more. And you start seeing kids that actually need it. Your kids need to be, we are a social animal, if you want to put it that way. Some of them, put us next to gorillas and chimpanzees and wolves. We're that type of social structure, and we have that. That's the type of society that we've kind of been. That's the type of animal that we are. But what happens is that was destroyed. And there's a lot of things going on in schools, not only here in Texas, throughout the United States, that many parents are standing up and saying, no, not today.
Nope.
And it's going to get bad because the left and the extreme left, they don't sleep. They continue.
Yep.
We might say, okay, whatever, but they're still continuing. They're already thinking 2-3 years ahead of us.
Yep.
And Republicans are not. I'm kind of disillusioned by Republicans right now because everybody proudly sings the flag and waves the flag, and I'm going to do this with the red, white, and blue. Well, Democrats also use red, white, and blue as well. We're all Americans, so we can't say this flag is ours and they're not theirs, right? Because they're both of ours. But when it comes out to vote, they're not voting.
Right.
Here in Webb County, we're getting eaten 17-1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right now it might be a little bit more, and so when you look at stuff like this, you're like, it's hard to fathom. So we need to start picking people correctly. We need to start vetting them out there, and everybody needs to go in there, and conservatives in general, because conservatives are on both sides of the parties, right? But the conservatives have to say, you know what, we want our country the way it is, and let's bring it back to where it is. And we have to stop these delusions of grandeur that are coming out in a bad way from the left side.
Yep.
And from the right as well. We have some Looney Tunes on the right.
Well, we have to take individual responsibility for our own lives and our own families.
Sure.
And if we do that, I can get frustrated. I live in Dallas County. We've got completely Democrat leadership, right, in Dallas County now. Didn't used to be that way until 2006. But because of that, a lot of people just won't show up. But the reality is statewide, if you look at the statewide numbers, the only reason that Senator Cruz won against Beto O'Rourke, remember in 2018, was because Harris County and Dallas County and the big metropolitan areas came out to vote, even though it was skewed for the county statewide. If he hadn't had those 250,000 votes in those municipality areas, then he would have lost statewide. So I say that as an example, and we saw races even in this last primary, couple state rep races that were decided by 50 votes, 40 votes. I mean, nuts. But the main thing is we need to take responsibility for our own life, make sure that we are doing what we need to do. And my call to Christians specifically, people that have faith, people that need to go to the Bible every day for their substance. Like, there's no way we're going to make it right now without God, number one. I'm believing for a great awakening where we all wake up one day and realize we're not going to make it without Jesus, without God in our life. And how do we survive without hope and faith? Now, once you've reached that point and you're like, okay, I'm going to let my life be reflected of needing God, then it's all of a sudden, wow, I better take personal responsibility for my own life. And I believe, we've been created in the image of God. That means that we have a creative force in us that wants to create, that wants to innovate, that wants to create businesses, right? And that's all God through creating us as humans. And so once we take ownership of that, we realize we want to make our gardens better. We want to make our cities better. We want to make our communities better. But if we don't start taking a responsibility for our own individual lives and then our own families, nothing's going to change. But when we do that, that's why our message is pray, spend time with God, vote in your local community, and engage where God gives you the burden of your heart and the education to do that. If we all do that, America could be deeply impacted.
Absolutely. And, it's in Scripture that we should, he said, give to Caesar what's Caesar's and give to God which is God's.
Yeah.
And
taxes are in the Bible.
and guess what? And if the taxes are in the Bible and we have to vote people in that are going to put which taxes are going to go up or down, so we have a right to vote for people and for all that stuff as well.
And that's the beauty of what we do with Christians Engage. So we have a pledge. It's called Take Our Pledge to Pray, Vote, and Engage. We're actually going to send you a prayer text every week with a scripture and a prayer focus, whether it's our mayors, our county judges, our army, our economy, whatever we're praying for that week. We're going to remind you to vote in every election, not just the presidential years, but your city elections, your primaries. We're going to give you a voting guide, not telling you who to vote for, even what political party to vote for, but here's your basic political education to be able to intelligently vote and to do your civic duties. And then we're going to help you with all of our curriculum. We have an on-ramp to civic engagement seminar that we've created at 6.5 hours. We've taken 1,000 people through it around Texas in the last 2 years. And we just re-recorded it for the nation, and we're launching that nationally in the next 2 weeks with major strategic ministry partners around the country. So we want to help Christians and really every individual citizen that says, you know what, I'm not satisfied with the status quo anymore. I want to be a good citizen. I want to be a person of light, not darkness. We will help you with that practical political education to get moving in that direction.
Beautiful. And if folks want to get involved with it?
Yeah, christiansengage.org, christiansengage.org, or you can text the number 313131 and text the word engage, and you'll get the pledge, and you can just sign up for whatever notifications you want. But if everybody would just take the pledge to pray once a week for 5 minutes a week, you know, to vote in every election and to start engaging their heart somewhere, man, the radicalness of what that would do to affect the well-being of our nation would be awesome.
That'd be great. And today you have an event over in on the river, right?
Yes, we're at the park. What is the park's name?
It's over there by the mall. It's by the river.
Yes.
It's Dos Laredos.
Yes.
Dos Laredos.
Yes, Dos Laredos Park. We'll be there at 7 p.m. tonight, myself and Pastor Jorge Tovar. And I'll be at his church at Jordan River Church tomorrow morning for the service. I'll be preaching there. It'll be in Spanish and English. But we're going to be tonight, we're calling it our awakening night. We're at the park and we're just going to awaken people to love America and love God. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. Folks, if you want to catch prayer, it's going to be downtown. It's the park's right where the River Drive Mall and the outlets are at, and just below that. And It's going to be great.
7 p.m.
I want to thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, Paul.
Because everybody needs to start, if you have, how can I believe it? If you have a way to get to people, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a church, whether it's a community, something, we have to go out and start reaching.
Yes.
And we have to start educating people on what it is. It's not really do it my way. Let's just bring all the candidates together and you make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Start finding out who they are.
Yes.
And it's not my views. It's going to be everybody's views. And I encourage all candidates to come in. I don't care whether you're Democrat or Republican. You want to come out here and we can talk.
Right.
And also we have a sit down, and that's the only way you can start learning who the candidates are.
Yes.
It's not just one side.
And above everything else, be one that is a seeker for truth.
Absolutely.
You know, and I personally believe that that truth is found in the person of Jesus Christ. And if we realize that we've been created for a purpose and a destiny, and we find that purpose and destiny in Him, that makes life so worth living. And I believe the answers to everything that's happening in our nation, our culture, is found in one place, and that's the Word of God.
Absolutely. Folks, we're running out of time, and we have a great conversation. We're going to continue, but I want to give you this. Today, 7 o'clock, down at the park by the River Drive Mall, or the old River Drive Mall where the outlets are at. Go over there, sit down, do some fellowship, pray a little bit. Everybody has to kind of pray to our Creator. And also, on Tuesday, don't forget to vote.
Don't forget to vote.
Don't forget to vote. Until next time, much peace.
Today, in America, more than 5.5 million men, women, and children train in a martial art regularly. Buitrón Academy has been serving Laredo for over 30 years now. Our adult classes are geared for producing the best in you, teaching you street-ready techniques. With the arts of Savate and Kinpo, you'll learn the traditions of these sciences of combat as passed down professor to student.
Hello, my name is Jaime Garcia. I started Savate when I was 17 or 18. I'd like to say it was because I was in search of knowledge, but truth be told, I joined Savate because I got my ass kicked in a bar. My mouth was writing checks, my ass couldn't cash, so I figured I should learn how to fight. I was looking through the paper, trying to find someone that I could really learn something from, and I came across Buitrón's school. Even though it was on the other side of town for me, I wanted to go someplace where I wasn't going to be wasting my time. So I came by. He was nice enough to take me on as a student, and I started learning. I went all the way up until I think it was white glove, pretty consistently. As a matter of fact, I think I even failed one glove because one year I wasn't prepared enough. I believe it was my green glove. So I had to take my green glove twice, but definitely didn't stop me from coming back because that was definitely my fault. But I kept coming back year after year, and I loved it. I had to stop when I was about 25, 26. I had to go to school, I had to go off to college, but I never forgot what I learned here, and I promised myself I would always come back. I just had to get some life stuff done. So I went to school. Savad definitely not only gave me the confidence to do so many other things in my life, but it also got me out of a lot of trouble that I admittedly got myself into. But definitely one of the most important things I ever learned in my life was how to fight. I finally came back, even though I live in Austin, which is a good 3.5 hours away. I still make the time to come every month to come and learn because it's one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, one of the best things I ever did. And I believe it gives a person something that the society is very much missing these days, which is a discipline and a drive to go forward, drive to keep doing what you're doing. And I believe in it so much, I'm just waiting for my kids to get old enough to hopefully start doing it themselves. And yeah, best thing I ever did in my life, and I wouldn't change it.
Come train at the best kept secret of Laredo. Give us a call for your free evaluation at 956-401-4868 or check out our website at savat.biz. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook.